surfing live stream where we go online together and look for deals on photographic gear and accessories to help us with our passion here, our hobby. And I'm always looking for the best deals that I can find, and also really good values in certain things. We had kind of a marathon last week with the Prime Day going all week. And there were a lot of great deals to be had. A lot of them are gone now. Uh, and really, the only difference between, say, Prime days and other days like limited deals and things like that are the Prime Day deals are just more widespread at once. So if I'm looking for a particular tripod, it'll be on sale on Prime Day, but not after. However, if you wait a little bit, sometimes that price will come back to what the Prime Day deal was anyway. But you might have to wait. And then other deals continue on after Prime Day. So I found some of those, and there's also deals on accessories that may not be the very best deal you can get all year, but it's within a few dollars, so might as well get it now rather than wait for it to go maybe a little bit lower or take the risk of it going higher. So, also, I am running my streams ad free this month, so just see how it goes. So, your support, and thank you, Colin, so much for your support here. Uh, through memberships for 99 cents a month or direct donations, but certainly using in today's stream the affiliate links that I have down below really helped me keep doing these streams without having to worry about ad interruptions and things like that for both of us, right? It's very disrupting. So let's just hop right into it, and uh, I need to rearrange my screens real quick and bring up the chat window. Wow, there's a lot here. Darko's here. Seraphim, good to see you. ATR Bear, Intrigue, Jeff Painter, and Roger, and Marcia. Good morning, all. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining me every week. You guys are kind of my regulars, and it's great to see you again. So I'm just gonna rearrange a little bit. And my mouses are very flaky. I have about three different mouses. All three of them have an issue. Ah, but they're all really old, 10 plus years old. Maybe I think one is even closer to 15. But I did order a new mouse from Prime Day last week, but it won't be in until Friday. And also this camera, I switched off from using my, Olympus cameras for the stream, and I'm just using a webcam. I do have a new webcam coming in, which was a good deal, I think, and it's still on sale. And I'll share with you what I got, and that should be in on Friday also. So next week, hopefully, the quality of at least the headshot here will be a little better. Okay, come on, mouse. And I see Drew here is Paul. Good to see you. Fuji's good to see you. I'm sorry. I forgot to turn the audio on. I can't believe it. I do it every time, every time. Let me start over. Uh, so this is the abbreviated version. This wrist strap here is on sale, half price. If you don't mind the blue color, if you like the blue color, this is a good time to get the wrist strap for $5.59. And this filter set here, I was going into great detail about the different filters here. So I always recommend CPL and circular polarizers and ND filters. The circular polarizer, of course, is great for reducing reflections and cutting through haze and just giving you better contrast in your images overall. Don't use them all the time, but you can use them probably a lot more than not. It's very, very handy, especially like in street photography for reducing reflections off windows and glare in the street. So you can dial in the exact reflection that you want for a particular scene. And then of course, getting deeper, richer blue skies or more contrast in the clouds and in landscapes where there's a lot of haze because light scatters everywhere in haze. And polarizers help reduce that so you get better, much nicer landscape photos. The ND filter here is an ND4, so that gives you 2 stops of light reduction. So it's a very weak ND filter. And I don't mean that in a negative way. ND4s are very popular for using with flash photography and doing portraits. It helps you to bring your flash sync speed within 1/250th of a second so that you can use flash and also darken the background a little bit, but primarily to help you bring in your camera to the proper sync speed for your flash. Because a lot of professionals, they don't like to use the high speed sync unless they have to, and there's certainly situations you need to, but you really need a very powerful flash to use high speed sync. Most of us are using on camera flashes or using them off camera, but they're still relatively low power between 76 and 100 watts. And an ND4 filter would be perfect for those kind of scenarios. The ND filter is also useful for long exposure photography. Now, like I said, this one's not very strong at 2 stops, but it will help you in like twilight and dawn type situations where you want to get long exposures, uh, of seascapes and things like that. Waterfalls, if you're in the shade or again towards the evening and in mornings, you'll be good with an ND4 filter for getting the exposure or shutter speed that you need to, drag the water out and make it nice and smooth. And don't forget that the polarizer in combination with the ND filter really makes it an ND8 filter or 3 full stops of light reduction. So when you combine the polarizer together with the ND filter, you should get pretty nice exposure times for most scenes that involve water, especially at dawn and towards twilight, when the sun's not high up, or on cloudy days for that matter, and in shade. These two filters combined will be more than enough. The UV filter, the only time I would use the UV filter is say when I'm on the beach and I don't want to get sand and salt water on the lens, you know, front element of the lens directly. That's when I would use an UV filter, but at no other times would I use an ND filter because our ND filters have, I'm sorry, our sensors have UV filters built in already directly on the sensor. So adding a UV filter potentially could degrade the quality of the image overall. There's really no need to have it. So I would just ignore it, except in situations where you're on a beach or you want to protect the front lens from elements of that particular situation. But it's very rare you would need that. And then it includes the case with some microfiber cloth. This case, which was what I was trying to show just before I realized the sound was off, this case alone is $15, right? Which is what I was showing here, or $14. And it's a top-rated case, and I have this case. I'll show it to you, and it's great. It doesn't hold just 3 filters. I stuffed that thing like crazy, but it's a great case, and this is included in the filter set. So before I go to show you the case, just for OM System and Olympus users, the 12 to 45 Pro f4 is 58 millimeters, the 75 1.8, and the 75 to 300, the 40 to 150 kit lens. These all use 58 millimeter filter thread, so this is a very popular size. The 62 millimeter filter thread you would use on the 12 to 40 f2.8 Pro. This is the one that I have. And then if you have like the prime lenses, like the 25 f1.8, the 17 1.8, you would want to get the 46 millimeter. And then if I recall correctly, the 45 millimeter, it has a 43 millimeter ring. The other sizes here are popular with other camera brands, typically like Canon. A lot of their lenses use the 77 millimeter uh, filter ring. So just check the filter ring size on your lens. And the rule of thumb is, buy at this price, I would just buy the filter that fits the lens exactly. But a lot of people like to buy, say, for example, you'll buy the 62 millimeter lens, which is what I do, ring size. And then I use step rings when I want to use the same filter on different lenses that I have. So I know that, I'm going to use it most of the time on my 12 to 40 Pro. But time to time, I want to use the filters on my say 75 1.8 or 40 to 150 kit lens. I'll just use a step ring to 58 millimeters. Just be careful when you're stepping up. If you buy the 58 and you step up to the 62 millimeter with a step ring, then you may get some vignetting for wide angle lenses like the 12 millimeter range on the 12 to 40 Pro. I I don't see any vignetting on mine, but just be aware of that because the image sensor, we have stabilization, can shift sometimes and give you a little vignetting in a corner, just one corner sometimes, because of the way the image stabilization works. So do buy the largest one that you need that for the most common lens that you use. And at these prices, I would just buy a filter for each lens. Okay. Uh, That's that. And I'm just going to get through a couple of more here, and then I'll go back to the chat section and check in and see if there's any questions. Okay, the Sabrent brand SD card V60. This is a great deal, 20 bucks. And this is the fastest card and most likely the largest size you'll ever need for photography. Rarely do I fill up a 128 gig card. I usually buy the 256 because I also do video. But if you're doing just photography, 128 is more than enough, and you don't need to spend money for the V90 cards, which are rated faster, but in practice, in the real world, they're not any faster than a V60. With very, very few exceptions, notably in video, do you need a V90 card? For anything photography related, the V60 card is going to perform just as well as the V90 card and cost one third or one quarter of the price. So I highly recommend this for any OM system camera that supports the UHS-2 spec, which is everything, say, from the EM10 Mark II and up. So the EM5 Mark II, the EM5 Mark III, the OM5, OM5 Mark II, OM1, the OM3. All these cameras support the UHS-2, the Pen F, and you will definitely see an improvement, especially in continuous shutter mode, where you need to clear the buffer quickly. You will see at least a double the speed improvement in buffer clearing on the OM1 and the OM3, for example. You're going to see uh, more than double, almost 3 times faster buffer clearing. So to give an example, if you fill up a 92 frame buffer in the OM1, with a standard V30 card, you're going to get 45 to 50 seconds to clear that buffer. With a V60 card, you will be at 15 seconds. With a V90 card, take a guess. It's actually still 15 seconds. So why spend all the extra money for a V90 card if it's not going to help you in your camera or show any improvement in performance? So I always recommend the V60 cards. I try to recommend only the brands that I trust. Sabrent is definitely a brand that I trust. PNY, and of course, SanDisk and Samsung. I also trust. These are really the only cards that I buy, and you can trust the Sabrents. Okay, next up, this is a killer deal. This is a rapid monopod. Now, I did not get this one. I bought the non-rapid version from Suray, but these are excellent monopods. The rapid version, basically you do one twist and the monopod drops down, and then you twist it back and you can lock it into whatever height you want very quickly, and then you can unlock it and close the monopod very quickly. What I also like about this monopod is the ability to convert to a tabletop tripod very, very quickly. Now that in of itself is worth about $50 just to be able to have a tabletop monopod, or I'm sorry, tripod included. Uh, so I love this. This friend of mine has this. She loves it. Another friend of mine has it. He also loves it. When I was shopping monopods, this thing was over $200, even on sale. It has never been this low, as far as I know, at $145. This puts it at near the price that I paid for my non-rapid aluminum monopod from Suray. So I love this brand. I love this monopod. And now is kind of a no-brainer time to get one. The 65-inch height is perfect. You can get the shorter one if you're only 5 foot tall anyway. You might as well get this one. It's $4 more, but it's going to be smaller, more compact, and lightweight to carry. Whereas this one is going to be, you have to be very deliberate when you bring this. You plan on bringing it, uh, but it's great to have. Okay, and then another interesting product here. This is new from Elano. This is a high-speed UHS-2 card. So if you do get the Sabrent UHS-2 V60 card, or if you have some V60, V90 cards already, it's ideal to have a fast card reader. But this goes further and has card holders on it as well. And it's got a rubberized casing, so it's very durable in terms of travel. And as far as I know, you can plug this directly into your phone and offload images from your phone to the SD card and vice versa. But I think primarily, being a SD card storage holder, so you can see it holds six SD cards, four micros and two regulars, but also it's the card reader, and you can just plug this into your laptop or your phone and offload your images. So this is a great travel accessory. And if the price were what normal high-speed UHS-2 card readers cost, that would be great. However, this actually costs less than many high-speed UHS-2 card readers. For example, I bought the ProGrade UHS-2 reader. I paid $79 for mine. And this has the CF Express B. Let me go back and look at and this works great, but this is the same thing in terms of performance, and it's half the price right now at 20% off. Even at the regular price, it's still uh, $30 cheaper, but now it's $40 cheaper or half the price of the pro grade version. And Elano makes great products. I've reviewed some of their battery chargers and things. Or they've always been well made, good quality. So I've no doubt this will also perform as well. They reached out to me to ask me if I wanted to review this. I haven't replied yet, but I'm thinking about it. It's just since I already have the pro grade, I don't really need this. And uh, doing a review on it, I don't know if that would make any help at all with making a purchasing decision because these things are pretty straightforward. But I'll think about it. The also note here, well, let's ignore that. This is a Gen 3.2, so you're going to be capped out at 10 gigabits, which is, 20 times the speed of the card that you're going to be using anyway. But yeah, this is great deal. If you want to get a UHS-2 card reader, high speed, this is the way to go. It's really handy for transferring files from the card onto your computer very quickly. You'll see a noticeable improvement there. Okay, these are extension tubes for the Canon RF mount system. So I bought this yesterday. It's going to be in tomorrow. But, I didn't wanna spend 150 or $200 for the Nisi macro lens, which is basically a diopter, to do macro photography or close-up photography. So I said, for 20 bucks, because there's a 6% coupon here, don't forget this. I can just put this on my 24 to 105 kit lens and do close-up and macro photography. So I'll let you know how this goes. The reviews on this are not great, right? 3.2 stars, but I'm going to buy this and see. But what I recommend, if you shoot Canon RF mount, I would get these now while it's on sale because it's very hard to find extension tubes for less than $30. And right now you can get this, for 20 bucks with the 6% coupon. So I'm going to get this in tomorrow. I'll let you guys know next week how they turned out. But the complaints were about, autofocusing. And my guess is the person using it doesn't understand how extension tubes work by limiting infinity focusing and narrowing the depth of field that you can work within. Uh, but I didn't really see, there's only 6 reviews, and so there's not enough there. So I have to get it myself and see. And at this price, it's for me was a no-brainer. This camera here, and this camera is a toy. I bought this camera. I paid $29, but right now it's at 32. The price has gone up on this, and I suspect at least here in the U.S. that's due to the tariffs. So getting this now, this must be older stock. Getting this now at $32 is a good deal, and it's a really fun little camera. And I'll show it to you here in demo. A little bit of this, but uh, you can get it for yourself, just throw it in your bag. It's really small and it's a lot of fun to just kind of take out, and it's a great conversation piece. Everybody smiles when they see this camera, and it makes a great gift for anybody that you know is a photographer, or even as if you run any kind of clubs or anything and you have like, competitions, you can give this away as a first prize or as a runner up, whatever. I don't know how big your photo clubs might be, but these are kind of fun. It's really a fun little camera. I mean, the image quality is crap. It's toy camera. It does record video, but it's very interesting in that you actually look down at the top of the camera to do your compositions. That's where the LCD screen is, not on the back. So, and they do include a 16 gig card. So what I do is I don't actually take the card out. I just plug it into my computer directly, the camera, into the USB-C port to get the the pictures off of it, and I'll show you a few there. All right. Let's see. Okay, so that was the gist of the initial run. So let me show you a couple of things, and I'll get to the chat section. Then we're going to talk about backpacks and messenger bags because there's some really good deals there today. Let me just get a little water first or coffee. And so I'll pick up where I went last. This is the uh Shu Shuzhou toy camera. And you lift up the top here and you turn it on right here. I mean, you gotta press and hold that, or is it this bottom one? I forget. This bottom one. I should do a little video on how to use this thing because it's not straightforward and the manual sucks as usual. But yeah, you just kind of look down here and frame things, and then you push here to take a picture. This is for this is the focus button. This one here is the playback button, and this one here is you can switch between black and white and sepia and some other weird art filter in real time. So it has some art filters here, and then primarily black and white or sepia. Shutter button, and then to do movies, you actually rotate this crank, and it'll start recording. Looks like 7 or 8 seconds of recording when you start, then it'll automatically stop. Or if you want it to keep going, every few seconds you have to turn this crank. So it's kind of cute, and the top just folds down like that, and it'll auto shut off, or you can just press and hold the power button to turn it off. Down here is the USB-C and micro SD card. Like I said, I just plug it in to the computer directly to read the card, the thing. So let me show you a couple of pictures from this. And they are on my Flickr page if you'd like to look at them directly rather than through the stream. But if you go to my Flickr page and albums, you'll see over here the Shao Vintage Mini Digital Camera. And I cherry picked a few. So here's one of Ellie. I think it's 12 megapixels, give or take. And in good light, you actually get some pretty good detail. There's clipping here, of course. I get clipping actually even with my, full frame camera because, black and white, right? So I always have to dial in negative exposure comp. So that's the thing. This camera is fully automatic. There's no exposure compensation or ISO adjustments. Everything is automatic. It does mush the details a bit. So here's another one where it looks like either that's motion blur or it missed focus. Um, and then here's some sunflowers. I thought it did a nice job here. I did post-process this just a little bit to bring the sky in. With a JPEG, there's not much wiggle room, but I wanted to adjust the sky a little bit darker so you could see some of the details there. So there is some mild editing available. And then here's one that's someone took a picture of me, and just on Pixel Peep, like the word OM system here is just barely legible. Uh, and you wouldn't be able to read it if you didn't know what it said already. So there's no fine detail in this, really. This is a little bit lower light than, I'm in the shade rather than bright sun. So maybe in bright sun it would have came out. But you can see, there's some already color noise creeping in. Again, this has a 1/4 inch sensor, but in good light, you actually get some pretty decent detail without much noise or any really, just the compression artifacts of being a JPEG and low res file. So I'll go back to the album here, and give you the link to that if you want to look at those. And you can download the images and pixel peep them to your delight. Although, uh, don't get your hopes up. So there's a link directly to the thing in the chat section. And then here's the filter case that I was talking about earlier. That's included with the filter set for between $25 and $29. But as you know, they sell this separately for 14, and they're including 3 microfiber cloth with the filter set. So right now I do have 3 here in the front. There's also a pocket here in the back where I usually keep the ring adapters. So I'll just stuff those in the back. I've stuffed, 2 filters in each one. I'll put a microfiber cloth between the 2 filters if they're sort of on the thinner side. And I've put very thick filters in here. And what happens is this just expands out like that if you start double stacking your filters, like I do. But this will give you an idea of what it looks like with just normal filters built in plus putting in the back pocket. And then I just drop this in. It's a nice canvas material here, and then some PU leather here, vinyl, I guess. But I like it. It's a really nice little case. Uh, and then the tripod. For those of you that have been here many times, I show this off all the time because I love it. I'm sorry, the monopod. But the one that's on sale now is the carbon fiber rapid release. So the rapid release, you would just twist it here and the monopod will drop down on its own. Whereas I have the aluminum flip lock style, so I have to adjust it myself, with each in 3 steps. This one's really tall though. I think this is 75 inches. But what I really like is that this converts into a tabletop tripod, or yeah, tabletop tripod very quickly. And now I have a tabletop tripod, and the ball head is just the legs. Whoops, let me take that off. This is the ball head. I have a gimbal up here on top, and then it has steps in the legs. So if you want it a little bit taller, and this thing is solid, it's all metal. So I really like this a lot. Uh, and then if I want to convert it back to my monopod, it just pops back in and pops back in here. And now I'm back to my monopod use. So I can highly recommend this. And I'll just talk about this gimbal real quick. This is also on my deal page. This is great for, when you have heavy lenses and you don't want to carry it for 3 or 4 hours while you're trying to shoot birds. We had an argument, not an argument, we had a discussion about using a camera freehand versus using a monopod or a gimbal or a tripod. I think a monopod is a nice compromise in terms of flexibility when you're in the field trying to capture birds in flight, and stability, right? And mobility. Because when you have a tripod, your mobility is limited quite a bit. It's very awkward to pick up a tripod, fold the legs, move to another spot. But with a monopod, you just pick it up. And a lot of times, this is not that heavy in of itself, maybe a couple of pounds. And then you have your camera mounted here, so you have it rested. But if a bird does come flying towards you, usually I can just pick up the whole monopod and capture it, right? I couldn't do that really with a tripod. So I think this is a nice compromise. Of course, it's not the same as freehanding, but this is a great compromise. It takes a little getting used to using a gimbal, but if you do birds in flight or birding, bird on a stick, whatever, any kind of wildlife, you will get sharper images using a monopod, of course, and or tripods, but you give up a little bit in flexibility in terms of, mobility. But I think it's a fair trade-off. And the carbon fiber monopod with the rapid release, it's half price. If I didn't already buy this one, I'd be buying that one. Uh, so that's that. It's weird. My chat stopped scrolling on the side here. I wonder why. Okay. Let's see if I can fix that. I don't know why the chat window here is not scrolling. It's partially why I missed the everybody telling me there's no audio. Okay, so let me go to the chat and see if there was anyone any questions. So Sarah, can someone explain why the refurbished one is more expensive than the new one on their website? Very strange. Yeah, I don't know. My guess is that the local USA distributor here is independent, can independently control their prices. So I don't know. It doesn't make any sense to me either. When I saw that, it doesn't make any sense. And Peter says, I purchased the $35 Terry canvas bag, well made and holds surprising a lot of gear. Thanks for the recommendation. Okay, awesome. So that bag is, I think it's $39 now. It's still a really good deal. I'll show that to you. Uh, I do have it on my deal page. I'm not sure if this is heretical question here, but a friend has expressed an interest in a bridge camera. Any recommendation? Okay, so it's going to really depend on the budget, right? I would go for a used one, like the Panasonic FZ1000. So, and Nikon's got some newer ones out, right? The PZ9000 or whatever the Nikon ones are. Let's just go to B&H and take a look real quick, and I can articulate a little better why I would choose one over. Okay, so here's what's currently available new, and here's the P950 for 800 bucks. The Coolpix 1100, that's the newer version, I assume, with a little more reach. And here's the FZ80D. And if you look on the used market, you usually buy these a lot cheaper. I would avoid anything Kodak in the bridge zoom camera. Let's see, the P950. Avoid these Minolta cameras. These are just crap. What I don't see are the Sony RX series. So let's talk about these two real quick. These both use the 1/2 sensor, so it's a very tiny sensor. So low light is going to be an issue. Number two, bright light is almost an issue because these have a maximum aperture of f8. You can't stop down to say f16, f22. So keep that in mind when you're looking at these bridge cameras, the low light limitations and the bright light limitations. These two are pretty harsh. Most of the time you can work within this range. Probably 99% of the time you can work within 2.8 and f8. And the image quality that I've seen at the extended range, like 3000 or 2000 millimeters, is not bad considering what it is. And at the lower ranges, at the wider ends, 24 to say 200, the quality is very, very good with these cameras and in good light. So you need to keep your ISOs low and work in good light. You also have some video capability. I don't know if that's a priority at all. The stabilization is not great on any of these, but either one of these, if you don't care about the super reach, the Panasonic is fine between 20 and 1200. So it's actually a little bit wider. And then on the Nikon, you got a 2000 focal length and a 3000 focal length extreme. So it's okay. I mean, you'll get a shot. It's just for fun. This one's a little bit out of stock. Looks like it's out of stock, but any of these. Okay, there's one more here I missed here. The Canon PowerShot. This is in the same league. I would I would say any one of these are fine. Just base your decision on price and focal range. So the PowerShot is more expensive than the Panasonic with a similar focal range. So I would probably just go with the Panasonic in my case, even though this is rated a little higher. Why? What? Oh, this has a flip. Yeah, they all have flips. And these ones that stop at like 1600 millimeters, or what does this stop at? 1300 millimeters. These are a lot smaller, right? This P1100 and P950, these are pretty big. But something like this. So let me compare these two, for example. Let's scroll down to the size. Look at the difference in weight. 3 pounds versus 1.41 pounds. It's a big difference. Now the dimensions here are a little deceiving because they don't look that much different except on the long end. But when you're actually holding the camera in your hand, one feels like a giant brick, the other one feels like a small camera. And it's this is more representative here. This one is double the size and weight of the uh, Panasonic. So when you're trying to decipher the size or get a feel for this, this is a very good indication. It's just look at the weight. Okay, another really good camera, and you have to go on the used market. Sony, let's see if they have it on Amazon. RX10. Yeah, they have it, but it's gonna, yeah, these are outrageous. 2,700, and even on eBay, Sony RX10 version 4 here, 1,300. The reason the price has gone up so much on this is primarily they don't make them anymore, and they also have 1-inch sensors in them versus the tiny little 1/2.3. So you're going to get much better image quality with one of these than you will with the ones that we saw in B&H. Like this is not bad, $829 for an RX10 III, and there's very, very little difference between the RX10 version 1, 2, 3, 4. Very subtle, especially between versions 3 and 4. Just get the cheaper of the two. This one's a little beat up. I'll be a little hesitant. A great alternative to this is the Panasonic, what do you call it? The FZ1000? Does that sound right? This is way cheaper, and the quality of the images you get from this camera will be It's basically exactly the same. It also uses a 1-inch sensor. The only drawback to this camera versus the Sony is the autofocus. The autofocus here is fine for most things, but the autofocus on the Sony is definitely better. But you can get one of these, and I would try to get the version 2. Let's see if they have, here's a version 2. I would try to get the version 2 if possible. I don't remember exactly the difference between the two, but because the price is so low to begin with, you might as well get the version 2 rather than pay a little bit less for the version 1. See, like this is 340, this one's 375. And I'm just doing a rough check, right? I mean, we can keep going and find better deals, but to me, there's not enough difference in price between the two to go for the version 1 versus the version 2. I would just get the version 2. So that's kind of my general overview of bridge cameras. And to me, it looks like the FZ1000 Mark II is the best bang for the buck, give you the best deal on the used market. On the new market, if you want that super zoom, you have to get the Nikon. But just remember, this thing, it's a big camera. But if you don't need that super zoom capability, you can get a much smaller camera for half the price and still get a brand new with warranty. Which one you choose, the Panasonic or the Canon, I don't have any recommendation because I don't really know those cameras that well. But overall, they're going to be very similar to each other. So I would get the cheaper of the two if it were me. Okay, hopefully that was helpful. And good morning. Paul is here. Says, any thoughts on the Alonzi MT85 light stand? Seems very portable for packing. I'm looking for a light stand that can backpack rather than something rock stay. Okay, so let me take a look. I have seen that tripod on sale. The Alonzi 85. I bet Marcus Pix has a video on it, but let's see what they say. There's the 89. But Marcus Pix is, I've watched a few of his light stand videos in the past. MT85, it's not coming up on my list here. Let me see. Let me search for it just like this. 89 to 79 to 84, 89. I don't see, I don't see a model 85. I see this, the 89. Okay, the problem, let me close that. The, seriously, let me disable my coupon thing here. It keeps getting in the way. Okay, so the only problem with these things is stability, right? You're gonna have to weigh this thing down somehow. What Marcus Fix does is he's out in the desert, so he always finds rocks that he can put and stabilize the uh, the light stand so it doesn't tip over when he puts anything on top. Because even if you don't put a light on this, it's gonna fall over. But I wouldn't put anything personally. I would not put anything heavier than like an 8100 or a Godox V1, like a regular on-camera or very small off-camera light. Putting heavier lights on there, like an 8300, I would even maybe do an 8200. But these things are not very rigid when you extend them out that long, and it has a lot of joints. So it's going to be hard to position the light exactly where you want it if you're trying to have a little precision. And you can forget about using light modifiers. Even an umbrella would be an issue on something like this. So the one that I like, and the base is very small, right? The base. So for the MT89, I didn't see the 85 come up. I would go for something like, there's another one that I saw that I liked. Let me just let me see if it'll pop up. I like this one and this one. Yeah, I don't like this 89. Small rig has a nice one. Let's take a closer look at this one here. What's the height? Minimum height 45. What's the maximum height? And 43 centimeters. So this is pretty compact, and I like this a lot better than the one we just looked at. However, just be conscious that I guarantee all of these are plastic mounts down in here because this thing only weighs 825 grams. But I like the stability of this and being able to expand the legs out because it looks like you can expand them out even flat. This is very useful because if you can lay the legs down flat like this and still get the height that you need for the light itself, you can get away with, minimal weight of trying to, like a sandbag, right? What I typically do is I just throw my backpack on top of it because when I go out in the field with lighting equipment, my light stand that I use expands out like this. I have a really old one that I've been using. You can't get it anymore. But the legs expand out like this, and then I just put my backpack on top of the legs when they're laid out flat, and I don't really need to bring heavy sandbags. So I like this style better. And there is there's one. This one here is the same thing, but it's just not branded with Ulanzi. So I would get this one. I'll add this to my cart. So this is a budget option, but it's not going to be. You just have to take care when you're using it because there's a lot of plastic bits, the clips and everything. But that said, I still would not put something this heavy on a light stand like this. You could, but if you're outdoors and there's a little bit of a breeze, this is a problem. If you're indoors, it'll stay, but you have to be very careful where you place your stands because if you're doing this like at an event, these light stands are very light and flimsy, and you have to make sure the light stands are behind or way out of the way of where people might be walking because these get knocked over really, really easy. So definitely don't put anything too heavy on the top. If you do need to carry a little bit heavier style lighting, this one here I like. I like this one. This has all metal bits, the twist locks, the leg joints. It's collapsible. It's very tall, and it's going to be a lot stronger. I like this one. And the adjustable legs. This gives you a lot of options. And 100 inches, that's pretty tall. So this will give you a lot of options in terms of stability and height cost more, but light stands, especially if you're going to be using them on a regular basis, for photo jobs and things, you need to spend some money on a light stand. So I bought two light stands like 10 years ago, made out of steel, and uh, I still use them today. They still work great. They can hold a lot of weight. I don't normally put more than my 8200 with an umbrella, or maybe a modifier, a softbox of some kind. I'm not going to put my 8300, 8400s on there, but definitely an 8200 with a softbox, with the ones I have and the ones that I just showed, should be just fine for that. So this one's not on sale. Let's see if there's one. Man, this thing has jumped in price a little bit. This one's 99, also made by Lonzi. Certainly, I can tell you to avoid these. These are strictly for studio. They're very big, bulky, and heavy. This, so when I said I got stainless steel ones, it was not this. These are very big, bulky, and heavy. You don't want these. This looks right. Hold on. Light stands are tricky. This is a decent one too. This one's carbon fiber. Let me open that one. So something like this is also a nice option. Not quite all metal, like the legs and the supports are metal, but then the twist locks, are probably plastic. This is also carbon fiber. I would Let's see what the aluminum one is. 29. Either way, that's not a bad deal. This one gets pretty tall, it's pretty stable. I like this one. So I'll put this on again, no matter what light stand it is, unless it's a heavy duty one, I would not put anything heavier than an 8200 on these. There it is. Okay. The other one that came up was this one. This looks like the same thing, but it's not on sale, so we can skip that. And that's it, really. I don't see the one. It's too bad. The one I had, I seriously doubt you can still get it. It was a Fodex, because Fodex is pretty much out of business. I don't know. Fodex P200? Is that what it was? Yeah, I don't know. We're not going to find it. But okay, so that's that. Uh, but I don't see an MT85. Unfortunately, I didn't see one. Because even if I go to Ulanzi's site and search MT-85, yeah, it doesn't come up. Okay. And Paul says to achieve faster buffer clearing in your own one, you also need the ISO below 1600 and low ISO processing set drive priority. Yes. So this is that's interesting. I never thought about ISO. I know the low ISO processing being set to drive priority makes sense. And I assume that's for, I'm gonna have to test that. I assume that's for JPEG. So if you're shooting JPEG, like RAW plus JPEG, these things might help. I have to test that though. Often, I'm well above ISO 1600 when I'm doing birds in flight. I'm like at 32, 64, 12,000. So I've never, it's rare that I'm below ISO 1600 for birds in flight because my shutter speed's 1 2000, it's 1 4000. So it hasn't come up in my shooting, but I'll test for that. That's interesting. Okay, let's see. So my little Kodak is okay at best. 16 megapixel on half-inch sensors, yeah. And Stuart says, thank you, very helpful. Okay, you're welcome. Glad I could help there. So specifically the MT89, that I can look at. Let's look at that one more time. Yeah, I don't like it. This one here, the leg spread is just not wide enough. And that's gonna almost require you always have something to keep the weight, have weight on there. So now if you're using this to like put a GoPro or something, maybe. But if you're talking about using it as a light stand, the legs are just not wide enough. Let's look at the picture. Yeah, these legs are just too narrow. For these kind of applications, it makes sense. In a studio with very small lights, a phone. So I'm not sure what your application is. If your application is like this, that's fine. But if your application is, actually use lights, LED lights, strobes with modifiers, you can see this light stand is very heavy duty. That's what you really need for heavier lights. But anyway, I've kind of talked that to death. Those are the recommendations. But if you need heavier stuff, yeah, just no way around physics, right? And hey, Rob, you mentioned on a stream recently you picked up the Photo Pro X Airfly on sale. Have you gotten it yet and used it at all? I missed the 160 sale, but do you think it's a good buy? I think it's a good buy at 200, but it hasn't come in yet. Uh, Let me tomorrow. Yeah, it's coming tomorrow. So, um, I'll talk about it this Sunday. That'll give me a few days to use it. I think it's worth it 200, but we're not in any hurry now to get the deal, right? So if you wait a little bit, I can share with you my experience with it. My expectations are very high. I thought I'd get lucky and get it sooner, but what I did was is I put no rush shipping on it, so I can get an extra like 2% uh, on my Prime cashback or whatever Prime card, which is a big deal on $160, right? 2% more is another $3. So no, I only shoot raw and it applies. I've done quite a bit of testing and ISO 1600 takes twice as long to write. Really? Okay. I'm curious about that myself. Because yeah, it's rare though. It's rare. I I just haven't run into that situation enough where I notice the difference. I mean, it happens, but it's rare I'm under 1600. Okay. Let's see. I talked about those things. Okay. Right now on eBay, there's a link down below on eBay, which I'm also an affiliate for. Right now on the OM System refurbished site, they have this for 350 some dollars. The 60 macro. Great deal. Don't forget to get the diopter, which I have on Amazon. This is $42. And this I discovered, you just clip it on the front. This will give you, because the macro itself gives you 1 to 1. This will get you to about 1.5, roughly 1.5 magnification for $42. And then if you add extension tubes, that'll get you to 2x magnification. The teleconverter, I guess you can get up to 4x when you stack all these things together, but you can start with just this, 350 bucks for close up and macro work. It's really amazing. Okay. And then yeah, I don't need to talk about any of that. I did that. All right, so let's talk about a couple of bags. I need to close some of these windows down. Way too many windows open. All right, mouse, come on. Okay. Uh, this bag here is on my deal page. It'll be $54 with the coupon. Not a huge discount, but this this is a nice bag, I think, with the roll top. So if you or not a roll top, but the top, top flap. I like this bag, and I think this is a good value at $54. Holds plenty of stuff, side pocket. It is a little bit of a roll top on the top, but not too much, right? Just enough. With adjustable center strap that easily locks and unlocks. This particular lock is metal. At least the one that I have. I have almost the same exact lock, and it opens from the rear to access your gear, so you can lay the bag on the ground and not get your straps and your back, like the foam padding and everything, dirty and stuck full of grass and clippings and ticks and spiders. I always like the rear opening backpacks when possible. So I like this backpack. Uh, this one here, this is more of a hard shell backpack for $45. Mosisu is a pretty good brand, for entry level type backpacks. So if you want a hard shell with plenty of dividers included, this is a great deal. But you have to get this color. So it's going to get dirty, unlike the black ones, which, you can probably just wipe off and it'll still look black. But this one you're going to have to keep clean. But all the same, I think this is a good deal. And then a lot of people, they have no problem paying for a quality bag to begin with, a bag that'll last you 25 years, right? This is one of those bags and it's on sale. Dom Key goes on sale time to time, but not like 18%. It might be like 5% or $10 or whatever. I rarely see Dom Key things go on sale this much. Uh, so yeah, and I love this style bag. They don't really show a lot of pictures, but I love this style bag. And it's interesting they have a little clip in the front to secure the front opening. And when I looked at the user reviews, there was only one additional picture here that kind of gives you some perspective of the size of the bag. But Domkey, you don't have to question the quality. Okay, if you buy a Domkey bag, it's going to be awesome, and it's going to last you forever. So if you want a one and done bag, you can get a Domkey. I don't buy these because they're really expensive, and uh, yeah, mainly because they're so expensive. But now's a good time to get get what I think is actually a really nice looking bag that's going to be very high quality. Okay, now going on the other end, we have a fake leather bag here that should last you 2 to 5 years, depending how much you use it. These kind of bags are typically your everyday bags, so I would give this a 2 year window for it to still look good. Maybe 5 years before you have to throw it away because it's going to start falling apart. But with the 10% coupon, you're only going to pay $36 for this bag. So, and you can get this in tan and PU leather. This fake leather or vinyl, you have to take care of it just like you would real leather. So you buy leather cleaners and leather conditioners, and this thing should stay looking new for a very, very long time. But I have to be honest though, these are probably 2 to 5 year bags, depending how much you use it. They're not going to have the durability of a donkey, $100 bag. But I think it's a nice looking bag. This would be a bag that I would just take out uh, once in a while when the style fits. Right now we're getting stylish, right? When the style fits for the shoot that I'm going to or what I'm wearing, whatever. At this price point, I don't worry about it. Uh, Come on, mouse. This mouse is really distracting. Okay. This is the caddy bag that I think uh, the other person said they bought and really like. So this is $36 with the coupon. It's going to be $41 if you want one of the other colors. It's a really nice bag. I would give this bag easily a 10-year window because canvas material, you don't have to maintain like vinyl, right? Canvas material, you just throw it in the washing machine. But the vinyl you have to maintain with w- you know leather conditioners and things like that to keep it looking good. But canvas material just looks good, even when it gets dirty and roughed up. Uh, I really like this. Good cross stitching. It's strap. The strap is directly into the bag. Nice flaps, pockets, everything here looks really good for $35. Even has an internal zipper. $36 for sort of this is yeah, it's this color here, right? This army green color. I like it. Okay. And then here's a really good backpack from K&F, 22% coupon, but this is a little bit bigger than the typical 20-liter bag, so you can hold more stuff in it. I can tell you, I would consider 20 liters sort of a minimum for larger backpacks. 22 is kind of in the middle, then 25 is about the biggest backpack I would ever want to take in the field with me personally. Because if you fill up a 25 liter, even if you fill up a 20-liter bag, man, it's heavy. 25 liters is about the biggest bag and the most that I'd want to carry at any given time. If I need to carry more, we're talking about you need much higher end bag with, a decent waist strap system, waist support system, and take it even, at that point, we're talking about different class of bags. But I like this being a 22 liter, just a little bit bigger, and the style is very simple, minimalistic. Nice front pocket here for a couple of things. Fold over flap to put loose items in the top. Tripod holder, side opening. 22% off, so that would be roughly what? About $18. So you're going to pay $62 for this bag. That's uh that's good. That's a good deal. $62 for a 22-liter backpack, and this is a canvas material, so it's gonna look good and be easy to maintain. Ah, this bag here. This is another vinyl bag, right? But this is supposedly a higher quality bag. It's a little bit smaller. It's probably just 18 liters. They don't state the size in liters. But this, I get the impression this is about an 18-liter bag. This is a little bit more luxurious, and it's half price. It's going to be very well made. It has a couple limitations uh, with respect to, it doesn't have a side pocket, right? So if you want to get your gear out, you're going to have to take the backpack off to get to your gear. That's the main one. The other limitation I noticed was I'm trying to remember now. It was a minor one. I wouldn't worry about it. But if you want a little more stylish bag, a little bit higher quality made, especially on the interior, this is where you start to notice the differences. Like if you look at the dividers that come with it and the materials that they use on the interior, this is going to be a higher quality bag. And Mega Gear, I've bought a few products from them before, and they've been very, very good. Excellent quality for the price. But this is the time to get a Mega Gear. If you like this style bag, this is a good time to get it. And then, of course, this collapsible chair came in handy. I used this the other day. Works great. It's very lightweight. In fact, I think that picture was, this is how I carried it. There's a picture of me carrying it here. Came in handy. And let's see. All right, so I don't want to get too far down this list. There's more filters here. This is a great filter. It's a combination polarizer and ND filter up to ND32. So you get 5 stops of light reduction, and it's $70. And this is very, very high quality. I did a full review on this particular filter. I can't recommend this high enough, and it's on sale for 20% off. And that's a true 20% off. KNF doesn't like jack up their prices and then give big discounts. They set their retail price, and then if there is a sale, it's an actual sale. So this is a good deal. And it looks like most of the filter ring sizes are on sale. So going back to what I was talking about earlier, pick the right ring size for your camera and lens, and uh, get one of these. And it comes with a little case to hold it separately, which is good because, well, let's see. Well, when I got mine, it came with a case. I don't see a case here, but it should come with a case. But if it doesn't, it's not a big deal. But I think it does. Uh, but yeah, I can recommend that filter all day long. These are kind of fun filters to play with. Just click on the link and look at some of the sample images. I have a few samples on my Flickr page, but this newer, I need to take this off. See, here's the newer filter. These usually go on sale, but they're not on sale now. I need to take this off. Here are some step rings. This is the cheapest set of step rings I could find, 15.99. So look at the ring sizes in here and see if they have the one that you need. Uh, and then over time, as you start getting more and more filters, you'll find that you can get some options because you have step rings that you may not otherwise consider. This one here, these filter wrenches are awesome too for taking the filters off and tightening them onto the lens. It's $8. I recommend getting these. This makes life so easy. Well, the hardest ones to take off are like the polarizers because they turn. It's hard to get a good grip on them. But with this, it's a piece of cake. And then these lenses I talked about, I think I talked about these in my last stream. This adapter, just use it for C-mount lenses. Using it for M42, because it's a dual M42 and C-mount adapter, There can be an issue with mounting M42 lenses, so you need to really do your due diligence on the M42 lens that you have and the adapter that you use. So just be careful with that. A lot of M42 lenses will fit this, no problem, but a lot of them have little protrusions and stuff sticking out of them that make this a problem. Not only that, but some of them have a very deep internal element that can be pushed back and limited by the flange. It gets a little complicated with some lenses when we're talking about M42. For C mount, like these two lenses, you don't this one comes with the C mount here. This one does not. This lens here gives you sort of that swirly bokeh effect. This one gives the soap bubble effect, and then this adapter needs to go with this. Okay. The only other new product here, and I'm going to end with this one, these three. This is for the Sony, like A7R, A7 IV, the FZ1000 batteries. This is for the Canon, like R8 and R50, and the smaller Canon battery cameras. And then this is for the smaller Sony cameras, like the A6600, I believe. Anyway, this is the FW50 battery for Sony. So it's the smaller of the two Sony batteries. Because if you have a Sony's camera, it's going to use this battery or this battery. So you have a smaller battery, you get this one. But what's unique about this is I used to recommend the Alano version of this for high-speed charging. These are about half the price or about 30% less in price than the Alano version. They have a nicer display and they're a little bit smaller, but they still charge your battery super fast at 20 watts. So even though these are not on sale, they were on sale. Let's see if there's a coupon. They were on sale earlier for, yeah, there's a 10% coupon. So these, so you're gonna get these for $36. And this one has, see what kind of 5% coupon. But I would say these are a good deal, whether they're on sale or not. If you can get 10% off, 5% off, it's just kind of a bonus. But if you shoot Sony or Canon, these are great dual chargers. The batteries are kind of throwaway. Just use them as backups. I would always, our modern cameras today, they really need OEM batteries for your camera to work at optimal performance without any issues. I would always recommend using the OEM batteries, but in a pinch, you got a couple extra spares here. What really matters here is that these chargers are awesome. And, being able to fast charge your batteries and take them with you on the go, this is a great, this is a really great line here that First Power is coming out with. I really like these. Okay, uh, and that's it for today's deals in terms of, you can scroll down and find some other things down here. This is the webcam that I bought. Hasn't come in yet, but this will be coming in soon. And hopefully my stream quality will be better. What I like is this on a gimbal and tracks. So like when I was showing off that tabletop tripod, uh, I'll be able to use hand gestures and things to kind of to get the camera at the angle and position I need it to for better demonstration. Hopefully the quality's good. OM5, good deal, $8.99. This lens, these tripods, these are all really, really decent products for the money. Here's the gimbal, $36, some knee pads, etc. I'm gonna check one more place before I wrap up the shopping, and then I'll do some open Q&A. I did find, yeah, these are for the Sonys. There's some extension tubes for the Sony for $30. I'm thinking about getting those, but I'm not. I can use a diopter on my Sony lenses, so I don't really need the extension tubes. And for Nikon, let's see, anything here? Just the usual. If you guys want any opinions or advice on any of this stuff, I can give you some pointers there. Let me just check in my tripod monopod section. $200 for the Leo Photo. It's a good quality, but the Sue-Ray is carbon fiber and quick release for $145. That's a deal. These ball heads are no longer on sale. I need to take these out. A lot of updating to do. I'll come back to these later. When I get my tripod in, then I'll talk about these and why I picked the one I did versus everything else I'm recommending here. But this is the one that I bought. Should be here on Friday. Uh, so I'm looking forward to that. Okay, so all of the links to my storefront, robtrek.com/deals, are down below, and to some of the products we talked about today. 20% off on the OM System eBay, OM System refurbished site. There's some good deals there. I think the 60 macro is my first pick. Everything else there, if you need it, it's a good deal now, but not the best. I've seen better deals on some of the other stuff there, like the OM1, for example. I would not get a refurbished OM1 for $1,400. But the 60 macro, I think, is a good deal. Let me just look at that real quick. Okay, this will be the last thing before I go. Before I stop talking about sales, and we can do an open Q&A. Let me go to their store. Okay, so again, I would get this now before they're sold out. This is a good deal. This is fair. Fair deal here. If you're thinking about this lens, you can buy directly from OM Systems. This is a very fair deal. Fair to good. Uh, yeah, this is fair. I wouldn't buy a used or refurbished one of these. This is the version 100 to 400. It's on sale everywhere for $9.99. Why buy a used one? Just get brand new. The TG7, this is a good deal for a TG7. I would definitely get this. If you're thinking about a TG7, this is a good time to get it. I would skip this deal. It's okay. It's fair. This is a fair price, but not great. This is fair. This is good. This is very good. The 75 to 300 for 351, I would say fair to good. Because you can buy this normally goes on sale brand new for 399, but right now it's not on sale. But you can get a refurb for 351. So if you want to get the lens now, you're not, this is not a bad deal. This one here. And this is a fair deal. This is okay. I'd skip it. I would skip this. This is a good deal for an EM10 Mark IV, but this camera is really long in the tooth. Uh, I would recommend getting an OM5 Mark I or an EM5 Mark III. You can get the EM5 Mark III for a little bit more than this. So that's where I would go. I wouldn't get this camera anymore. This is fair. This is Yeah, I wouldn't get this. I would skip that. I would skip this one. This is a good deal. 127.99. This rarely goes on sale anymore. It's like 199 all the time. If you can get it for like 150 or less, I would recommend that lens. I would skip this. I would skip these. Again, this is a fair deal. This is a fair deal. Not great, but fair. That's okay. I think you can get this lens for about 200. Yeah, definitely skip this OM1 deal. It just makes no sense to me. This is a good deal. If you want the 40 to 150 in black, I like this deal. Um, I don't know nothing about the recorders, and now we're just getting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you the link to this page. I think there's a link down below to the 60 macros. So click on that first, and then you can get to all the other deals here. But I'm just going to put a link in the chat section. Okay. So out of all the deals, the TG7, the 60 macro, the 40 to 150 kit lens, the 75 to 300, those four are my picks from that page. Everything else I would kind of skip. You can get it the same deal or better almost any time. But those are good deals. Those four that I talked about, those are pretty good deals. All right. Stuart, gotta go. Okay. Thanks for coming in. And you got some sketchers. That's cool. And let's see, the Dom key arrives. So you got a Dom key also. That's cool. And thanks so much for using my affiliate links, by the way. I do see like all these random sales. Like I think I remember seeing some Skechers and some Dom key. I don't know who buys them, but I do see all these random things. I should do a video on just random things, buying random things, right? And let's see. Rob, what C mount to M43 do you recommend to go with? Yeah, the one that I showed on my deal page. That C mount adapter uh, should be fine. But this this C mount adapter for where did it go? Did that C mount adapter just vanish? Where are the bags? Oh, here. No. Yeah, there it is. This one. This one should be fine. That's on my deal page. Like I said, just ignore the M42 mount. You have to be a little bit more uh you have to do a little more due diligence if you're going to mount M42 lenses. They can be tricky. And going to get the 60 macro, what kind of lens does TG7 come with? The TG7 is a 25 to 100 f2.8 to I think 6.3 equivalent, something like that. It's a variable zoom lens, but it's 25 to 100, and it's a great little pocket camera. It really is. I chose it over, say, the GR series from Ricoh, and over the Fujifilm, not their X100, but they had another one. I forget what it was called. It was the X10 or something. Anyway, I picked it over all the other pocketable cameras because it was like half the price. I don't think it's half the quality, and it had more features than those other cameras, in my opinion. Like the focus stacking, the macro capability. Those other cameras can't touch that. And you also have accessories where you can put lens filters on, LED adapters, you know, the TG5, and the menu system you're probably already familiar with. There's some limitations, like it does aperture priority, and that's it. Uh, but it has GPS built in. It's get some extra, buy some spare batteries for it. Generics are fine for this camera. I've used some generics and the OEM stuff. OEM always lasts longer, but uh, you definitely want to have some spares for this. Okay. Because after I was messing around for about an hour yesterday doing some macro shots, and the battery died. So I had to put another battery in. And that's not that long. I didn't do that many shots, and I didn't have the camera on that much. Out in the field, though, if you're conscious about the sleep mode and turning the camera on and off as you're shooting. You can go for a while, but yeah, get some spare batteries. Oh, thanks. F2 to 49. Okay. That sounds right. And the thing is, I got the 35cc TV for M43 advertised, but no adapter. They gave me a discount that paid for the adapter. Oh, cool. Yeah, their wording for the 35 millimeter is a little misleading. Uh, if you bought the one here on Amazon, it says large aperture lens for M43 FX. They shouldn't put that in there because that implies it comes with an adapter, but it does not. It says C bayonet capability. This lens features a C bayonet, so it's a screw mount designed for cameras like M43 and FX. That's not true. This lens was designed for like security cameras. So it has a very small image circle, but the you can buy adapters like the one I just showed, so you can mount this onto Micro Four Thirds and Fujifilm. But yeah, this wording, this right here, they should just say it's a C mount, but they say C bayonet compatibility. The rest of this is very, very misleading. Okay. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's very misleading the way they put that up there. I mean, it's good information that it'll work on Micro Four Thirds and Fujifilm, but it's misleading the way it's worded, right? They should be very specific and say the C mount adapter is not included, unlike the 25. So what you can do is you can buy the 25 millimeter that comes with the adapter, and you can interchange the lenses between the two on your camera. You just unscrew one lens and screw the other one in onto the same mount. Then you don't have to buy that adapter separately. You can just buy for $10 more, or yeah, for because it's $12 to get the adapter. It's $25 to get the lens with the adapter on the 25 millimeters. So you can just buy the 25 and the 35 together. It's a nice combination, actually. All right. Any other questions? Anything you guys want to talk about or go over? I got a little time here. I can help you. Um, let me bring up what else I have. Because I did get a couple of things in. That thing you wouldn't care about. Maybe not. I think I talked myself to death yesterday. So, but I got some sleep finally last night, caught up on my rest, and whatchamacallit, um, I'm feeling much better today. So I'm gonna try and crank out a video on. I gotta finish the review on that Flash, and maybe do some other thing. I'm gonna go out shooting tomorrow. I don't know, Shri, are you gonna go to? Are you still here? We're gonna go out to Sandy Hook Point tomorrow morning. And then I think Owen wants to go to Bombay Hook after that. I ain't doing that, but I will definitely go to Sandy Hook in the morning for the sunrise. So I'll send you a text in case you already left the stream. But okay, looks like no other chat. So you guys have a great rest of your week. I'll be back no later than Friday for my photo editing stream. And again, thanks everyone for your support through the memberships, using my affiliate links and donations. I am running the streams ad free this month to see how that goes. If it works out, I will continue to do that so that we can all benefit from the ad-free world on YouTube. Uh, Thanks again for joining me today. Happy shopping, happy photography and shooting, and we'll see you again soon.